Good evening. Welcome to RupEng News Live on Channel I.
Hello there, I'm Daphne Charles.
And I'm Dushan Vaz. First, take a look at the headlines. 260th ordination ceremony of the Siam Mahanikaya begins in Kandy under the patronage of the President. Ministers claim that the people have taught a proper lesson to the opposition responsible for the most unsuccessful strike in the history. People in the East get houses from the Indian Housing Project. Sri Lanka Medical Council recognizes the medical science degree of Sri John Kotalavala Defence University. The funeral of the late SLFP stalwart Daya T. Pasquale takes place next Saturday. The Iraqi Prime Minister orders to change the country's military leadership. Now for those and other stories in detail, starting off with local stories. Premier D.M. Jayaratna said that the members of the Mahasangha and the religious leaders are vested with responsibility of creating a society with good qualities. The government is committed to implement a program towards this end. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 260th higher ordination of the Siam Mahanikaya today. The ceremony was held at the Mahamaluwa Sri Dalita Maligava in Kandy today with the participation of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Mahanayak of the Siam Mahanikaya of the Malvat chapter, the most venerable Timbatuwa Sri Sumangalatera, officiated. Buddhism was greatly affected following Western invasions, including the arrival of Portuguese. The high ordination was re-established in the country during the period of King Kirtisi Rajasingha due to the great commitment of the venerable Valavita Asarana Sarana Saranankaratero. The ceremony has been continued annually since then. A special memento was presented to the Ambassador of Thailand for its assistance given to launch the higher ordination in the island. The President emphasized the need of further improving friendly ties with Buddhist countries like Thailand. The President presented a titular act to the Mahanayakatera, marking the launch of the 260th ordination of Buddhist priest. Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratna outlined the responsibility vested in religious leaders and the government to direct people towards the proper path. He added that religion will mold a great human being. The Sasana has the responsibility to correct the mind of people. The government has the responsibility of punish persons for committing wrongdoings. He called upon the members of the Mahasangha to implement a program to direct children and the people towards the correct path.
සකස් කරන්න වහන්සේලා තමයි ප්‍රධාන නායකත්වයෙන් වැඩලා තියෙන්නේ. අද තියෙන රාජ්‍ය යන්ත්‍රය අනුව නායකත්වය අනුව වහන්සේලා අර වැඩ පිළිවෙල ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා නම් ඒකට උවමනා කරන සහයෝගය එතුමාගෙන් සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අපට ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් බව මම දන්නවා බුද්ධ ශාසන කටයුතු ආගමික අමාත්‍යවරයා හැටියට.
The governor of the central province, Tikiriko Bakadu, Chief Minister Sarath Ekanayak and several people's representatives were also present.
Meanwhile, several ministers said that the people have taught a good lesson to the opposition, which organized the most unsuccessful strike in history. They noted that the opposition, which was rejected by people, is now making an attempt to betray the country, heeding to international powers. They expressed these views at a media conference in Colombo today. Minister Anurupriyadashanayapa said that yesterday's strike was the most unsuccessful strike held in Sri Lanka. It was given wide publicity and wide talk, but there was nothing at the end. He thanked the working people who boycotted the strike.
විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා වැඩ කරන ජනතාවට. ඒ වැඩ කරන ජනතාව මේ මුලාවේ නොඇටි බොරු අහන්න නැතුව ඒගොල්ලන්ගෙන යන ප්‍රචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයට සම්බන්ධ නොවි ඊටාම ඉවසීමෙන් යුතුව තමන්ගේ වැඩ කටයුතු වල යෙදුණා.
Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage said that the opposition was waiting to form governments toppling the present government. The JVP and the UNP had been rejected by the workers in the public sector. Mr. The Satanaika highlighted reasons for the failure of their strike without saying that it was an unsuccessful attempt. But former JVP MP Lal Kanta claimed that the strike was successful. Workers in the country, especially public sector employees, have given a fine reply to the opposition. 14 groups signed for this strike, had extended their support earlier to Tigers. They were hand in glove with the TNA to divide the country. They made an attempt to destabilize the government through the strike under the cover of electricity bills. All these people had made these attempts to fulfill the international agenda to divide the country.
මේ වර්ජනයේ පිටිපස්සේ හිටියේ කවුද මේ? මේක ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව පේනවා. තමුන්නාන්සේලා දන්නවා මේ විදුලි බිල හරහා මේ වර්ජනයකට එන්න ගියේ මොකටද? ආණ්ඩු අස්ථාවර කරන්න නැවතත් මේ රට දෙකඩ කරලා ජාත්‍යන්තරයට උමනා න්‍යාය පත්‍රයට ගේන්නයි මේ සියලු දෙනා උත්සාහ කරන්නේ.
Minister Ogitabe Gunawardene said former JVP MP Lal Kanta had the mental tension till the 21st of this month. He was telling now that the next step will be implemented after Vesak. Earlier he said that they will close workshops and bring workers onto the roads. At a media conference he said that they have conducted a successful strike and the government was in fear about it. He said that the JVP was responsible for the destruction of thousands of young lives in the country. This was clearly indicated when considering facts in the past. They were responsible for closing down of many institutions. The JVP was behind all these things, added the minister.
දැන් කියනවා අපි වෙසක් වලින් පස්සේ ඊළඟ වැඩේ පටන් ගන්නවා කියලා. මෙවැනි රෝග හැදිච්චා ඉතිහාසයේ 71. මෙවැනි රෝග ලක්ෂණ රටට බිහි කරලා අමාරුවේ දාපු කොටස කොච්චරද? මේක බෝ වෙන රෝගයක් බවට පත් කළා මේ රටේ කීයක් තරුණයෝ විනාශ කෙරුවද? මේ රටේ පහුගිය ඉතිහාසෙ ගිහිල්ලා බලන්න ඔබ මේ රටේ වහපු ආයතන කීයක් තියෙනවද කියලා. ඒ වහපු ආයතන වලට වහන්න හේතුව මොකක්ද කියලා හොයලා බලන්න. ඒක ඇතුලේ ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණේ සමාජිකයෙක්.
Answering a question on the 13th Amendment, Minister Anurupriya Dashanayapa said that there were persons who were in favour of provincial councils and against it. Some of them were of the view that more amendments were introduced to the Constitution. Sri Lanka's elections were conducted in accordance with the 13th Amendment. The President has made it clear that such an amendment should be made after a wide discussion.
The Leader of the House, Minister Niman Siripala De Silva, said that the highest number of public and private sector employees reported for duty yesterday. This day will go into history as the day of highest attendance of employees. He called upon the opposition to conduct such strikes every day. He made this request delivering a special statement at the Parliament today. He added that the political groups of the opposition has organized a strike countrywide. This attempt could be defined as a conspiracy against the government. A force against the country was behind this conspiracy. The attendance of the workers during the normal days was around 83 to 85%. The attendance of institutions with more workers was around 80 to 85%. But yesterday it was around 94.1%. This was in accordance with the data collected from several ministries, departments and institutions by 2:30 p.m. yesterday. 3 employees attached to JVP union working in SLTB depot in Kurunagala have not reported for duty taking sick leave. He said that 21st of May 2013 was the best day of the year where the highest number of employees of the public sector had reported for duty.
Minister Basil Rajapaksa says that the friendship between India and Sri Lanka has been further strengthened under the Mahinda Rajapaksa's government. He paid a tribute to India for its assistance for development projects in the country. The minister was speaking at the launching ceremony of the Indian housing project in the Batiklo district. 50,000 houses will be built under the Indian government's line of credit for the people affected by war in the north and east provinces. 4,000 houses are to be built in the eastern province. The ownership of new houses will be given to the people in the Mangalagama, the only Sinhala village in the Batiklo district, and RupEng Muslim village. Financial aid amounting to 550,000 rupees each was presented to house recipients. This was the final official ceremony of the Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Ashok K. Kanta, who will leave the island after completing his 3.5 years diplomatic service. Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that the selection of 3 villages, Mangalagama, Periyapullimalai and Rukam, where Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities are living, was another step towards restoring harmony among communities.
මේ සියලු ජාතීන් ඊටාම සමගියෙන් ජීවත් වෙනවා. අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම ඉල්ලනවා තමුන්නාන්සලාගෙන්. අපි එකම පිරිසක් ඇටියට මේ ಜಾති ආගම් කුල ભેද වලින් ප්‍රදේශ ભેද වලින් වෙන් වෙන්නේ නැතුව අපි එකට සමගියෙන් ජීවත් යුතුයි කියලා.
Deputy Ministers Bashir Segudavud, MLAM Hizbullah, Governor Mohan Vijay Vikrama and Chief Minister Najib Abdul Majid were present.
Sri Lanka Medical Council has given its recognition for the degree of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Surgery presented by the Sir John Kottalavar Defence University. This was revealed at the Cabinet News briefing held in Colombo today. The first batch who received medical degrees from these universities to be passed out next year. The Sri Lanka Medical Council has given the PAW enabling these graduates to obtain registration enabling them to practice medicine and surgery in Sri Lanka in accordance with the medical ordinance. This proposal was made to the Cabinet of Ministers by Minister Maithripala Sirisena. Approval has also been given to build a teaching hospital at the Defence University premises at a cost of 26 billion rupees on a proposal made by the President. A health science faculty is to be set up at the Sabaragamu University. The Cabinet has approved a proposal made by the President to provide a 20-acre block of land at Ratnapura, New Town, for this purpose. The Chinese Development Bank has stepped in to provide $580 million for the development activities in Sri Lanka. The Cabinet approved a proposal of the President to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the bank for this purpose. Several roads are to be reconstructed on a Cabinet approval granted to a proposal made by the President. The stretch of road from Paliakura to Jaila on the Colombo-Putlam Highway and the stretch from Maliban Junction to Nalluru Panadura on Colombo-Galle Highway will be reconstructed. The government has decided to purchase 80% of the textile requirement needed for school uniforms of students next year. The balance 20% is to be imported as finished fabrics or imported in grey to be finished by local producers. This proposal made by CD Minister Ratnasiri Vikramanayake has been approved by the Cabinet. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval for the activities of Media and Publicity Subcommittee of the Commonwealth Heads of State Summit to be held in Sri Lanka. The launching of the official logo and website of the summit, the establishment of official media center with facilities for 1,200 media personnel and to carry out publicity campaigns with the aim of promoting the country's image will be carried out under this initiative. This proposal was made by Minister Kelly Rambukwala.
Minister Anura Priyadarshini says that there was no threat of shortage of fuel as adequate stocks of fuel had been received. The Sapugaskanda oil refinery will be reopened next Friday. The General Secretary of the UNP, Tissa Attanayake, has accused that a ship carrying fuel sent by Iran had disappeared. He added that there was a news report of missing crude oil ship sent to Sri Lanka. The Sapugaskanda oil refinery was closed down due to the ban imposed on Iran to send oil. The racket was to bring oil from Iran in a fraudulent manner. He said that the minister has made a statement that they will conduct an investigation on the missing oil ship.
අතුරුදහන් වුණේ කොහොමද කියලා ඇමතිවරයා පරීක්ෂණයක් කරනවා කියලා මම දැක්ක ප්‍රකාශ කළා තිබුණා. අනුරයාප ඇමතිවරයා මං හිතන්නේ නැහැ එතුමාට මේ අතුරුදහන් වුණු නැව නම් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා.
Minister Anura Priyadarshini said that they have not brought down any oil ship from Iran at a time where the United States had imposed sanctions on that country. We have taken measures in a transparent manner. He rejected the allegations levelled by UNP MP Tissa Attanayake.
Sri Lanka completes 41 years as an independent sovereign state. The country has become an independent sovereign republic, freeing from the British imperialist control. on the 22nd of May 1972. British nationals took over Sri Lanka under its regime through the 1858 Kandy Convention, an agreement signed by British rulers and Kandy chiefs. Later, Colebrooke, Cameron Manning, MacCallum Donoughmore and Salisbury constitutional reforms had been introduced, but Sri Lanka was not an independent sovereign state at that time. Although the country has gained independence in 1948, the British Privy Council had the supreme judicial power. The supreme executive power was vested in the Queen of Britain. All the governments which came to power since the independence had made attempts to free from the British control, but they failed to bear the fruit. Siripala Bandaranaike government, which came to power in 1970, has devised a new constitution. It was prepared by a constitutional council with all parliamentarians as its members. The new constitution was devised with local identity free from the British crown. The country, which was called as Ceylon at that time, became Sri Lanka after the introduction of this new constitution. The supreme power enjoyed by the Queen of England has been vested in the people under the new constitution. The National State Council was given the power to implement the people's supreme power. A cabinet of ministers headed by a prime minister responsible for the legislature was also created. A ceremony to mark the Republic Day was held at the new town hall in Colombo this evening. It was organized by the Socialist Republic Front. Professor Tissa Vitarada, Ministers Vasudeva Nayanakara and Niv Gunasekara were also present.
The Foreign Ministry says that media reports and statements issued by certain parties with regard to an attempt to import Rolls-Royce and BMW vehicles, spending a huge sum of money for the Commonwealth Heads of State Summit to be held in Sri Lanka in November this year, were totally false. The ministry pointed out that there was no idea to import such vehicles and these media reports were baseless and completely false. Additional funds will not be used for the summit. Only the budget provisions will be spent for it. The Foreign Ministry further noted that the Commonwealth Business Conference to be held in Sri Lanka with the participation of Commonwealth and non-Commonwealth countries will help to promote trade and investment and economic cooperation.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa receives blessings of sacred tooth relic at Sri Dalada Malikava in Kandy today. The President participated at religious observances at Sri Dalada Malikava this morning. Later, he called upon the Mahanayaka of the Asgiriya chapter, the Most Venerable Udukama Sri Buddhurakita Thero. President Rajapaksa called on the Mahanayaka of the Balwata chapter, the Most Venerable Tibbatuwa Sri Sumangala Thero, and received his blessings. The President offered two special benches embedded with local 24 medicinal drugs to Malwata and Asgiriya temples. Meanwhile, President Mahinda Rajapaksa declared open the by-lanes reconstructed by laying stones at Sri Dalada Malika premises. The Development Lottery Board has spent 4 million rupees for this purpose. A meritorious act of releasing 11 milk cows destined for slaughter took place at the President's house in Kandy. It was organized by the Sri Pushpananda Society in Kandy. Chief Minister of the Central Province, Sarath Ekanayak, Governor Tikiriko Bakadu, and Parliamentarian Lohan Ratwate were also present.
People countrywide, irrespective of race, religion or age, are preparing to celebrate the Vesak festival, which will dawn on Friday the 24th. Trade stalls in all towns countrywide are beautified with Vesak decorations. Temporary trade stalls were set up to sell Vesak decorations, including lanterns, bulbs and greeting cards in many places in the country. Many people were keen to purchase Vesak decorations from the market due to their busy lifestyles. However, some people were making attempts to use Vesak festival for other objectives. The members of the Mahasangha and the Ministry of Buddha Sasana have taken measures to create awareness on how to conduct Vesak programs. But traders were ignoring these directives. Action has been taken to ban the display of hell, ghost caves, inculcating fear among people, mask dancing, as all these are unbecoming of the noble festival. But many trade stalls were used to sell these fearful masks. During the Vesak period, some youth wear these masks to inculcate fear among women and small children who visit temples for worshipping and to see Vesak decorations. They noted that it is regretful that there were no laws to prevent such activities.
This year's State Vesak Festival is to be conducted at Yudakanava in Mundragala. Sri Lanka RupEng Corporation will bring the Vesak Poetry programs from Yudakanava Rajamahaviharaya. The SLRC is the media sponsor for 6 Vesak zones countrywide, including Vellasa Vesak Zone. Vellasa Vesak Zone will be conducted connecting Vallavaya, Buttala and Mundragala towns. It has been organized by the Shashindra Rajapaksa Foundation in collaboration with Uva Provincial Council and several public and private institutions. Pandals, lanterns and Vesak Bhakti recitals will be the highlights at the Vesak Zone to be held from the 24th to the 28th of this month. Puja Vesak Zone, organized by the Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council for the 6th time on succession, will be held this year as well. With the sponsorship of Dhanasiri Amaratunga Foundation, the Vesak Zone is to be conducted at Dehiwala Public Stadium and Municipal Council area. Another Vesak Zone will be conducted in the Diyavanna area as well. It has been organized on the directions of the Venerable L.A. Kunuvansatero and with the coordination of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. It will be held from the 24th to the 28th of this month. A cycle procession of 500 children carrying flowers will also be conducted. Diyavanna Vesak Zone will be held in Palabhatta Palam, 3, Junction and Lakviru 7 areas. The Bauddha Loka Vesak Zone, organized for the 12th time in succession by the All Island Buddhist Congress, will be held from the 24th to the 27th of this month. Lantern exhibition, Vesak dancals and Bhakti recitals as well as cultural pageants will be conducted. The Central Zone Vesak Zone will be held at the Thannikumbra Junction up to Digula Town in Kundasala Electorate. It is organized by the Information and the Media Ministry, Central Province Chief Minister's Office and the Provincial Council. The Kampala Vesak Zone will be conducted on the directions of the Minister K.D. Rabukpal and Chief Minister Sarath Ekanayaka. The Kampala Vesak Zone, jointly organized by the Prime Minister's Office and the Ministry of Buddha Sasana and Religious Affairs, will be held for the first time from the 24th to the 28th of this month. An exposition of sacred Hebraic will be highlighted at the Vesak Zone. The exposition will be held at the Kampala Ratanagara Temple. It is organized on the directions of the Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne.
A Buddhist international conference was held yesterday in Cambodia to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the celebration of the United Nations Day of Vesak. The conference was inaugurated by Princess Surasmi, the royal consort of Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn of Thailand. The commemoration of the Day of Vesak, which falls this year on Friday, is held at the United Nations building in Bangkok in cooperation with Maha Chulalongkorn University. The UN General Assembly in 1999 recognized the Day of Vesak to acknowledge the contribution of Buddhism, one of the oldest religions in the world. Over 1,500 Buddhist leaders, government officials and foreign dignitaries attended activities, which this year also include the 100th birth anniversary of the Supreme Patriarch of Thailand. The conference is focused on how to apply the religious principle of Buddhism that has continued to contribute to the spirituality of humanity for 2.5 millennia onto promoting peace, addressing social problems and sufferings arising from natural disasters. The Day of Vesak is the full moon day in the month of May, which is the most sacred day to millions of Buddhists around the world to commemorate Buddha's birth, enlightenment and death. Meanwhile, the funeral of veteran politician, the late Daya T. Pascoe, will take place at Matugama Public Stadium next Saturday. He was considered as the oldest politician in Sri Lanka. He passed away at the age of 101. Mr. Pascoe passed away at Kalutaranagota Hospital yesterday. Daya Pascoe was born in Valipanna village, Matugama, on the 9th of June 1912. He received a preliminary education at Matugama Government School. Later, he entered Ananda Sastralia Court Day for further studies. He began his professional career as an English assistant teacher at Horanbatuvita Vidyalaya. Dayati Pascal entered Parliament, winning the Matugama electorate at the 1956 general election. He was the most senior member of the SLFP. He represented the Matugama electorate continuously in Parliament up to 1977. He also served as the Deputy Minister of Finance, Local Government, Housing and Trading. He was the Deputy Minister of Justice in the 1970 United Front government. He has gifted his ancestral lands for the Matugama Town Development Plan and to launch the Matugama Ananda Sastralaya. The body of the late Dayati Pascal is now lying at his residence at Nabada Road, Matugama, to enable people to pay their last respects.
A delegation of the government of Uganda arrived in the island to study the free health service. They held a discussion with the Ministry of Health officials in Colombo yesterday. The 7-member Uganda delegation is headed by Dr. Sab Moki. Sri Lanka's health service is maintained by the government for 75 years. 99% of childbirths take place at the government hospitals. The maternal mortality rate in Sri Lanka is 31 per 100,000 childbirths. The child mortality rate has reduced to 9 per 1,000 childbirths. Health Ministry Secretary Dr. Nihal Jatilaka and several other officials attended the discussion. Meanwhile, a ceremony to mark the 123rd birth anniversary of the founder of Vietnam People's Republic, Ho Chi Minh, was held in Ratnapura. The Peoples of Vietnam was established in 1945 under the leadership of Ho Chi Minh. The Vietnam People's Army took measures to defeat the challenges leveled by French imperialists under the leadership of Ho Chi Minh. He held the post of President of Vietnam from 1945 to 1969. A ceremony to commemorate the 123rd birth anniversary of Ho Chi Minh was held at Ratnapura. His birth anniversary was on the 18th of May. Dr. Theodore Veera Singh delivered the memorial lecture. Minister Professor Savitar and the Vietnam Ambassador in Sri Lanka, To Singh Ta, and the Secretary of the Sri Lanka Vietnam Solidarity Association, S. Sudha Singh, were also present.
So that's it on the news tonight. Thank you for joining us. Do watch again tomorrow night at the same time. Good night.